Yeah, welcome back to Pens, Ink and Paper Sydney. Yeah, so today we're going to explore the Pilot Vanishing Point fountain pens, so-called Capless pens. There's two pens here, one sourced from Goulet pens in the USA, the blue with the gold trim, and the other sourced from Larry Post, Brookvale, Sydney. One pen has a medium nib, 18K gold, the other pen has a fine nib. The two will be compared using Pilot blue-black inks as comparison. Today the question is to retract or not to retract. Apologies to William Shakespeare, to be or not to be. So there's an interesting history and evolution of this pen. And as we know, Pilot is arguably the largest pen manufacturer in Japan, world famous for its vast array of fountain pens and quality of manufacture. Highly innovative company, and this Pilot Capless, or so-called Vanishing Point pen, has evolved gradually over time. But I'm going to focus on this particular model of pen and not get involved in the Decimo or the Firmo, which are modifications of the Pilot Vanishing Point pen. This particular Pilot Vanishing Point fountain pen I sourced from Goulet pens in the USA, and I must admit I am partial to a bit of gold bling. It's a dark blue pen with beautiful gold accents and decoration. We start from the very foot of the pen. Here is the clickable biro-esque mechanism, quite a firm audible click, very understated in its lines, very elegant, and the controversial fixed clip which aligns with the top of the pen nib when it's retracted and ready for use. The nib itself is 18K gold, with an unusual feeder with a entrance point well up the barrel. This particular nib is fine. They do come in fine, extra fine, EF, F fine, medium and broad. So if we unscrew the body of the pen, it's this internal gubbins, this internal structure, which is the heart of the pen. Beautiful gold nib, finely crafted, writes beautifully. So you can see the entrance hole right up near the body there, which means you've got to immerse this entirely into the ink to fill it with a converter. I've opted to today, this pen, to use a cartridge, and the cartridge is already in situ using Pilot blue-black ink. So the pen with the full cartridge in situ is close to 32.5 grams. 30 grams is my preferred weight for any pen which pretends to have any substance or merit. This pen is right in the zone, has lovely weight and a expensive, sensuous feel in the hand. Yeah, so the pen itself, unretracted, comes in just around about 14 centimetres, which is almost ideal in terms of length, and be able to handle the pen nicely when writing. So you can see when the pen comes apart, it's all aluminium, beautifully threaded, and the pen itself is all metal, hence the weight. The pen itself is quite idiosyncratic in the way it inserts, where we have to orientate the lug which slides in that slot, and it's quite heavily compressed with the internal spring when we attach the top part of the pen, which requires quite some compression to engage the pen and bring together. But it just fits beautifully, superbly engineered and beautifully finished by Pilot. Today we're going to swatch the matched Pilot ink Shin-Kai by Iroshizuku, a dark black-blue water-soluble ink. So I've just purchased this ink directly from Jen and Ian at Larry Post, Brookvale, Sydney, who always generously share their expertise and knowledge with me. This is a 15ml bottle, which is, my opinion, the ideal size, so I'm not overwhelmed by large bottles of ink. So let's swatch out the Shin-Kai Iroshizuku Pilot ink and see what it looks like on the Rhodia .80 GSM paper. It's very fluid ink, lovely dark blue-black coloration. Flows very nicely out of the Kakamori nib onto the paper surface. You see the classic blue to black shading. Yeah, this is a delightful ink to work with, and the Iroshizuku brand of ink is more expensive, it's got more pigment and it flows better than their other cheaper ink ranges. Usual story, you get what you pay for. So now that the Shin-Kai ink is dried for 10 to 15 minutes, we'll have a closer look at it. You can see that it's an eminently suitable ink for day-to-day writing, a blue-black, using this medium 18K nib and the Pilot Vanishing Point pen. The ink itself on this Rhodia dot paper has beautiful shading, a little bit of bleeding. It's what I would term a medium blue-black ink. As we know, there's huge numbers of blue inks out of the market. The thicker you put on this ink, the more black and the shading that you get. The ink itself flows beautifully. It's a very wet ink. Absolute pleasure to use. Lovely shading. There's just a little bit of a hint of some red sheen. A little bit of bleeding into the paper, but nothing major. And on these large swabs with the paintbrush, you can start to see a little bit of separation of the ink particles with that red, very slight red sheen and beautiful shading. What a glorious ink. Yeah, so as an overview or summary, I've used 2 Pilot Vanishing Point pens. You can see clearly that the medium nib pen has a lot more volume to the font compared to the fine point nib. I'm a small writer generally, so I prefer fine points. But in summary, both pens cover the same ground: quality design, beautiful manufacture by Pilot, innovative and ingenious design work with the Capless, or so-called Vanishing Point click design. Superb 18K gold nib, gives you a lot of flex and a lot of feedback in the medium format. It's a very smooth writer, and the pen itself has perfect balance, in my opinion, ideal weight at 32 grams and beautiful length. It's an elegant, sophisticated fountain pen, not over embellished, and I particularly like the gold on the dark blue. There are many, many colour variations of this pen, including their annual special editions. And in essence, despite the cloning and the copies of this pen globally, in my humble opinion, you get what you paid for. This is a medium blue-black, the Iroshizuku, wet flow, superb daily ink, medium shading, minimum sheen, and definitely no shimmer. It has a relatively quick dry time, some minor bleeding into the 80 GSM rhodia, and it's a water-soluble ink, which is noteworthy.